Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Cryptid Cafe by 25th Century Games.
Cryptid Cafe is a game from Squatchy Games, ran on Kickstarter not too long ago, and then it was picked up by 25th Century Games. And it is a game in which you are a server in Cryptid Cafe, where you are trying to serve different cryptids or monsters their different dishes of unappetizing food that they want to eat. And so you need to collect that food, but there's a little bit of quirkiness with the worker placement at play here, in which you can pay the chef some money, a bribe, to move in front of other workers. But that comes at a catch because money is victory points in this game. Let me show you how it works down below, and then we'll come back and share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. All right, here's Cryptid Cafe on the table. Let me show you guys how this bidding worker placement set collection game works, in which you are also fulfilling orders for customers in your Cryptid Cafe. You are represented by these three servers here in your matching player color. You have your board here that you're going to be keeping track of your different customers. You've got some money tokens in the game. You've got this central board here that's going to represent the chef, this kraken octopus looking thing that is going to be giving you your 5 different ingredients in the game to serve to your customers, which are represented by this deck of cards that are going to all be the same for all the players. They're just going to be shuffled and randomized. And on these customers, you are going to have requirements, orders that you are trying to fulfill, and you'll have a payout for what you will get from this particular customer depending on when you complete this order. And you can see there are different colors here, and those colors match the different spots on your player board. So when you fulfill that order in one of the green slots, you're going to get that number of coins. If it's in the yellow, you'll get that number, so on and so forth. And if you don't feed this customer at all, you are going to lose victory points at the end of the game. Now, how this game is going to work: someone is going to be the first player, and they'll receive this card. And everyone will have 2 customers turned out on their green spots at the beginning of the game. And one other thing about these customer cards, they do come in 3 different varieties, denoted by this icon at the top, but also the color in the background on the bottom portion of the card. As you can see here, we have a blue one and a purple one, and there is also a brown one. And you can see that the different orders are all different, what they're asking for at the top, and their payouts are different on the bottom of these cards. So you will have customers in your green slots here at the beginning of every round. And looking at what I am trying to feed these different customers, I will use my 3 workers to get me the ingredients that I need from the chef. Now, if I'm the first player, I get to place out 1 worker first, and I can place it on any of the columns and any of the numbers in those columns. And the number that I place my worker on will tell me how many of that particular ingredient I'm getting. So for reference here, I need 3 of the Hexpressos and 2 of the brains, lettuce, tomato eyeball sandwiches, the BLTE sandwiches. So 3 Hexpressos. So I would want to place my worker on the 3 here for the Hexpresso, and then it would be another player's turn, and maybe they place it on the 2 there, comes back to me, and I would place my worker on the 2 for the BLTE, and then other player would go and I would place another worker out there, and then they would place another worker out there, and then maybe it looks something like that in a 2-player game after everybody has placed all their workers. Now, here's where the things shake up a little bit. Starting from the furthest left column, working all the way to the right, whoever has placed the last worker in that particular column, not necessarily who placed it on the 1, but whoever's last, so in this case, the red player, they can decide whether they want to bribe the chef. And again, that's the chef up there, spending $1 to move up 1 space, or if they happen to be on the 1, they could spend $2 to move all the way up to the 3, bumping down anybody who is ahead of them. And so in this instance, that player would receive the 3 Hexpressos, and I would only receive 2. Now, that is only available to the person who was at the end of the line, and it's only available if you have somebody else that you can move ahead of. So in this instance, the red player could not move ahead up because there's no one in front of them. Same thing here for me. I would not be able to move up. However, I could move up here if I wanted to spend $1 getting 3 of the hot apple spiders instead of only getting 2. And again, you'll do this for all of the 5 ingredients. After you receive all of your ingredient tokens, which there are tokens for all the different ingredients, and I have them here in my token sesame tray. If you'd like more information on the token sesame, check out the link down below in the description of this video. And there is a nice discount code for you to use. And using these tokens, you will place them on your customer cards here, trying to fulfill the different things that they are asking for. And if you have everything that you need, then you can fulfill that order. So I have everything for the Loveland Frogman here, and I would get $3 because he is in the green space. And I would just discard these tokens. Any tokens that I have left over can be kept on my player board right here, and I can use that on a later round. And I would put this customer that I fulfilled in my served slot here. And I know you can't really see that too well, but it would be down here where it says served. And then all the other customers that I did not fulfill, they are going to move down to the right, either 1 or 2 spots. And that's my choice. I get to choose. And you might be saying, well, why would you ever pick 2? Why wouldn't you only just do 1? Well, you might do 2, and this is a good example because, again, you fill up all of the green slots with new customers. So if I only move 1, I'm only getting 1 new customer, and I'm not being prepared for what is coming out of my deck next. Had I moved down 2, then I could look at more customers, and that would help me to know and plan a little bit better for the rounds coming up. And here is the round tracker card, and it tells you how the game would end depending on the number of players in the game, at what point the game ends. That is pretty much the gist. If I don't fulfill a customer, they are going to walk out and they will be kept down here, and I will lose victory points at the end of the game. You're going to get extra points for completing sets, and again, the sets are denoted by the colors at the bottom as well as the icons at the top. If you get at least 3 of one particular set, you'll get 3 extra dollars, and if you had an extra 4th of that set, then you would get 1 extra dollar for every one that goes over 3. You'll do that for all of the different colors in the game. There are special cards that allow you to do special things. You have a manager card, which lets you swap the position of 2 of your cryptid customers. You can use that at any point in the game. It's a one-time use. Another one-time use is the Sasquatch here. You can change one of your customer orders to match an opponent's customer order. So that lets you fulfill very difficult cards on other people's easier customer cards to fulfill. Now, there are also some bad cards that can be shuffled into your deck. You have 6 different bad cards. You're going to randomly select 2 and shuffle those 2 into each player's deck. And when one of these cards comes up, it affects all the players. Now you have 5 that tell you that you are not allowed to get a particular ingredient for that round. 1 for each ingredient. You've got no soups for this round, no Hexpressos, no hot apple spiders, no BLTE sandwiches, and no Cinemonster rolls. And then the 6th negative card tells you at the end of this round, all cryptid customers move 2 spaces instead of only just 1. And that really stinks when one of these come up. At the end of however many rounds you're playing for your particular player count, you'll count up how much money you have. Whoever has the most money is going to be the winner. And that's how you play Cryptid Cafe. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one.
And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Cryptid Cafe from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So Sam, first impressions, seeing this out on the table, what'd you think of it?
I mean, the monsters and everything, it kind of looks like a kid's game. Just the artwork and everything. Not in a bad way. It's just is inviting and colorful and cartoonish.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, very much so. It definitely feels like a family weight game looking at it. Very inviting, like you said. Yeah. Doesn't look like it's going to be a heavy thinker, which it's definitely not a heavy thinker. This is a very light game. for you understanding what you wanted to do in this game, what was that process like?
I really enjoy order fulfillment games.
Okay.
I think I've realized that the last year. I like that, like, this is your goal. Now figure out how to get it.
Okay.
I think that's it's a good concept, a good type of game for non-gamers because the answer is right there.
Okay.
And then you just have to figure out how to get it, and the process of that does change with each game.
Yeah.
So I really liked it.
Yeah, I think I can definitely agree with that. It's a very not necessarily straightforward, but it's like you said, here's the answer.
Yeah.
Now you go and figure out how to get to that point. It's not so much a cerebral thing where you're having to figure out what hoops do I jump through it to get to some ultimate end goal. No, I know what the ultimate end goal is. It's just what path do I take to get there. And I think that's a good thing for non-gamers for sure. Let's talk about kind of just the enjoyment experience that you had with this game. What were the things that impressed you?
I thought how you got this part,
the collecting the food and placing your workers.
Yes, it was interesting how you had the option of moving up and getting more. It was frustrating, but it was interesting as well.
Okay.
And you kind of had to figure out, okay, he's going to be going for this. So if I put myself on 3, he could jump ahead of me. So do I want to put myself on 2 with the hopes of maybe getting to 3 and figuring that was challenging.
But then somebody can go put themselves at 1 and that kind of just squashes your plans.
Play with a 2-player and a 3-player, and I will say a 2-player is going to be a lot more enjoyable for a non-gamer.
Okay.
And a 3-player to 4-player is going to be more challenging for the gamer.
And see, as a gamer, I would say the exact opposite of that. That I feel that a 3 or 4-player game provides that extra layer of stress of, well, if I place at 2, maybe I do get to move in front of her, but I got to worry about that other player placing at 1. Like I enjoy that tension of having to make decisions based off of what I don't know of what's to come.
And I just want the easiest way to win.
She wants the easy path. Yeah. So that's an interesting concept with this game for sure. Let's talk about the overall aspect of it. You mentioned that it was frustrating to you. There's some enjoyable parts to it, but it was frustrating to you. And I assume the frustration comes from somebody bumping themselves ahead of you.
Yeah, I mean, there's some orders that call for 4 of something. Well, you absolutely 100% will not get that in one turn.
Right.
And so you kind of have to think ahead. But then it gets difficult when they start to pile up, and you do have to make decisions of, okay, well, this is only going to lose me 1 point. You have 2 options. You can trade it with one of your other cards. You can do somebody else's order instead.
Like a substitution.
You only get to do that twice. And so you really, it can be very thinky when it gets to that point where your orders are piling up, and you only get at the most, and rarely, but at the most, you could get 9 ingredients.
Yeah.
But it's rare that you're going to get 9.
You're probably not going to get 3 with a worker, with all 3 of your workers in a round. Yeah.
Especially without losing money.
And if you do, it's probably because you're playing against somebody who's not very skilled, or they're very conservative and they're not wanting to bump themselves ahead of you.
So if you're needing 4 of something and you put yourself on 2 or 3, and then the 1 or 2 player bumps you down and you end up only getting 1 of those things that you needed 4 of, then you're just, it's frustrating.
Right. Okay, let's get to pros and cons for this particular game. What were the things that you really liked and stood out to you in a good light?
I mean, I think it is very straightforward. I think the artwork isn't too busy. I think it's very obvious what you need, how many you're going to get. I mean, it's very visually appealing as far as ease of play goes. And I think that that's important with non-gamers, because it lets us figure things out for ourselves without having to constantly be reminded of what the rules are.
Okay. Yep, for sure. What else?
I mean, I think the color, how would you put it? As it progresses and you have to move it down, how many points you get. Again, that's very clear.
The graphic design of the game.
It's just very straightforward. They really thought about how they were gonna depict each aspect of it, and it just makes it easier to play
makes it intuitive and smooth process for sure. Yeah, this is a very smooth game. There's not very many times that you're going to have people asking, okay, so what happens next? It's really straightforward and easy to understand.
Yeah.
You know, for me, one of the things that I did enjoy about this particular game, Sam's already kind of touched on it a little bit, and it's that it's not extremely easy to get your resources, and there are some cryptids, some monsters that do require quite a bit of the different ingredients for you to fulfill their order. And so it can be a challenging game to fulfill the orders. And the times that I've played, it's been extremely difficult to keep all of the customers from out of the walking away stack, the negative stack. And a lot of times my experience with order fulfillment games is that you're more often than not, I'm able to find a way to make things happen so that I don't have any negative points. And I find in this game, that's really challenging to do. It can be very difficult to keep up with everything. And so I do enjoy that aspect quite a bit. That's probably my favorite aspect about this particular game. So let's talk about the cons with this one. What didn't you like?
I think I just wish there's a way to, like, you have the two, I would guess, substitution cards where you can kind of change the outcome by a little bit. But maybe if there was a way that if you have 4 of one ingredient, you can trade it in for 2 of another ingredient.
Okay.
Even if it was limited to how many times you could do that, or you have to have 3 to get 1, but some way to trade in extra ingredients for one that you needed. I feel like that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, especially when you take into account, and I don't know if I'm going to be touching on something that Sam might say here in a minute, the event cards that happen in the game where they can completely close off one ingredient for a round. And as we've already said, there are some customers that need 4 or 5 of a particular ingredient, and you're not going to get that on one turn. And if you have the event that closes off that ingredient, well, now you've stretched that out to 3 rounds, because I can't get it in the first round. I'm not going to get all I need in the second round. I'm going to need 3 rounds to fulfill this customer. And unless they're in my first or second slot, that customer's gone, and I can't fulfill it.
I think maybe instead of having the event cards in each individual player's deck, maybe having an event deck for each round, and some of them being positive and some being negative, some being take 2 ingredients away from the next order, or don't move your players down, or
I like that.
No cinnamon rolls this time. I think that might be a little more
forgiving, but also more balanced, because I think that's the problem with having them be in the players' decks, because in theory you can't have it.
I didn't pull one until the second to last round.
Right.
At all.
Exactly. In theory you can have it that somebody doesn't have them come up at all, or you can have it come up where the same ingredient is closed off more than once throughout the course of the game. Like things like that can really just wreck the game.
Especially when there's so little margin of error in the game.
Yeah.
Having an ingredient
it's already challenging enough.
So I think if you could balance it out with maybe some positive events and draw one each time.
I agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. And as we said, getting bumped in the market for getting those ingredients by the other players represents that struggle for those ingredients already. I don't know if I need another aspect from the game that can also completely negate me from getting ingredients. For me, one other con that we haven't really touched on, it is a little cumbersome and fiddly picking up the token, especially whenever there's somebody who wants 5 of one thing, and I'm picking up these little tiny tokens and I'm putting them on the card, and I can have like 8 different tokens on one card.
Yeah.
I would have appreciated some other type of resource in the game, cubes or just something other than the circular tokens. Cut them in different shapes, or just, I don't know what. I just would have appreciated a different means of keeping track of those different resources. They're a little too similar for my liking, and it's a little too cumbersome kind of picking up all those little tiny tokens. So I don't know what they could have done
I like the idea of cubes, but that's just me. So
I mean, I like the pictures.
well, I do like the artwork. The artwork is fine. I'm just talking about a physical, tactile presence of the resource there. So, all right, scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. Where does Cryptid Cafe come in at for you?
I really liked it, and I would definitely play it again. I think it's so straightforward to play with non-gamers. It's easy to explain.
Okay.
I'd probably give it a 7.2.
Okay. Yeah, I figured that you probably enjoyed it a little bit more than me. For me, I don't know. It's a little too light for my liking, but I do think it is a pretty, what you're looking for when you're playing with a casual gamer. I'm a little leery about the whole bumping somebody in the market, and that being something that I think can rub some players the wrong way, leave them with a bad taste in their mouth. But I understand it comes at a cost. You're not going to be doing that all too frequently in the game because you do it too many times and you're going to lose. And that's kind of what happened to me. Yeah. When I play this game, I do it too many times and I end up not winning. So for me, I don't know if I'm too cautious about that particular thing, playing it with people who aren't heavy gamers. So I don't know. I think the game comes in about a 6.5 for me. Something that I do enjoy in a small audience with the right type of people, but for constant gameplay and bringing it out a lot and playing it with a vast array of people, I'm not sure if this is the type of game that I would reach for first. So that's where I come in on it. That's our thoughts on Cryptid Cafe. It is from 25th Century Games. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think of this one.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.